Boxing King Media in association with Box. We're delighted to be joined by Sam Jones this morning. Sam, I've got to ask you, what is that T-shirt all about? Feeling Usi?
Feeling Usi.
What's all that about?
Mate, it's the bloodline, mate. The bloodline.
Oh, is it another wrestling T-shirt?
Mate, don't mock the wrestling T-shirts. It's not just the wrestling T-shirt. It's feeling Usi.
Right, okay. I'm into the old school, man. So let's jump on the boxing, Sam. One of the first things I want to ask you, I know you've been out in Japan recently with Paul Butler.
Yeah.
Obviously, prior to him flying out, every single person, like I don't think you'll find anybody that gave him a chance to see round 3. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every single person's eyes going to get blown away in a round. It's going to be 2 rounds, 3 max, etc. He goes out there. They've obviously come up with a tactic or game plan to basically take it into the later rounds, which that's how I saw it. But you got a lot of criticism online. You know, you was there. Talk to us about it.
Got a lot of criticism because I said Paul was brave. Do you know what I mean? So, like, mate, do you know what it is? I was sat front row, and I'm telling you this now. I've not heard shots, digs like that. Like it was like each shot was like a firework. It was so loud that the shots every time, that even when Paul was taking it on the gloves, it was so loud. So it's very easy, yeah, to stand and say, stand and have a go. Go on, like, go out on your shield, stand and have a go. Paul, yeah, listen, we're boxing fans are brutal, mate. Boxing fans are brutal. And it was just a hard night for Paul Butler against arguably the best fighter in the world. So it is what it is, mate. It is what it is. Like, he lost to a pound for pound great. Do you know what I mean? So I think he deserves credit. I do think he deserves credit. Did he win a round? Probably not. As I say, like, it is what it is. It is what it is. I thought he did well. He tried to, like, if you watch the fight, he tried to avoid shots and tried to get his jab going. He just couldn't really get any momentum in the fight, if that makes sense. And he just, as I say, and he got caught in the 11th round, and that's what it is. This is boxing, mate. Like I know people want him to go and have a 3-round kind of and try and like knock Inoue out. It's easier said than done, mate, when you're watching how good Inoue is. So I'm a big fan of Inoue as well, mate. I'm a big fan of Inoue. He's a tremendous fighter.
I was watching it and I was trying to think to myself, like, if I was his trainer, what would I do to tell him to win this fight? And obviously trading with him early is dangerous, which is common sense. So do you think Joe's tactics were right or wrong by wanting?
It's not. Listen, mate, it's genuinely not for me to say. I mean, I know, as I say, all the people have all the people are like saying, oh, he was happy to see round 11, and like, listen, I'm not a boxing trainer, but like, I don't know what Paul could have really done better in that fight. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's simply he lost to somebody who was just stronger and hits harder, younger. Just like, he lost to a pound for pound great.
And the counter argument to that, and if he did go in and trade with him, and if he got blown away in a round or two, then he would have been absolutely slaughtered online. And we both
yeah, but as I suppose that, I mean, people thought that was going to happen anyway. So who knows, mate? Like, listen, we're all experts, aren't we? Everyone's an expert, but like, I'm telling you, you're not taking them wallops to the cranium. So it's easy to sit there and say that, but Paul came out the ring and he had bruised face, like he got put down with a body shot up the air out of it. Like, listen, should give him some respect. Do you know what I mean? He's a world champion. He's gone in there. He's had a really good career, Paul. And he just lost to the pound for pound number 1. Simple as that.
And just moving on, obviously, one of the fighters that obviously spoke about the fight was Sonny Edwards. I know Sonny was kind of calling Paul out earlier in the year. Where are we with Sonny Edwards? Because
we want to make the biggest and best fights for Sonny. Sonny Edwards wants a super, and to be honest with you, he deserves a super fight now. Do you know what I mean? Whether that's Bam Rodriguez or whether that's Julio Cesar Martinez. Listen, if Canelo comes to the UK, like what I've heard he's going to be doing, and fights John Ryder, if Sonny Edwards isn't the co-main event or chief sport, whatever you want to call it, against Martinez, it's an embarrassment, isn't it? It's embarrassing from Martinez's point of view. The last time he came to London, he got, was it DQ'd against Charlie Edwards or whatever it was. The result got overturned, but there's history there with the family, and I just think that is the fight to make. Let's go. There's no excuses. So Eddie Reynoso, Julio Cesar Martinez, Eddie Hearn, let's make that fight happen, and let's do it pretty sharpish. Especially if Canelo's coming to the UK, there is no excuses not to make that fight. So let's go. Sonny's the #1 flyweight in the world. He's prepared to prove it against anybody. I believe he makes a mug of Martinez in the ring, but Martinez, he'll say, "Oh, I want to fight Sonny," but then he'll go off and do another thing. So let's put some meat on the bone, and let's make this fight happen.
But realistically, as an outsider, it'd make more sense for Eddie Hearn to make Bam Bam versus Martinez. It's an in-house fight. It's a big Mexican fight.
Okay, you say that, but
that's what I'm thinking will happen.
I don't know. But listen, if Martinez fights Sonny, I don't think he has a prayer in beating Sonny. But if he did, then the fight's even bigger with Rodriguez. You understand what I mean? That you can't clearly avoid him like what he has been doing. It's like Martinez has said before, the fight was done. The fight was ready to go. And last final hour, they changed their minds. So Sonny needs that fight. Sonny deserves that fight first. Then the winner can fight Bam, or Sonny can fight Bam next, and then the winner can fight Martinez. That's the way it's going. Sonny can't just be avoided. Somebody who people are saying, "Oh, he can't punch," and all those kind of things. He can go straight through. We'll prove it. Sonny's ready to go. He's prove it.
I've talked started. Is there any communication between Probellum and Eddie Hearn over that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I rang Frank Smith the other day and I said, "Listen, let's make the fight. Let's go." And as I say, they say that they want to do the fight. So there's no excuses. Especially if Canelo comes over to this country, right, and fights John Ryder, there is no excuses for that fight not to happen between Sonny and Martinez. Everybody wants to see it. So whether they want to see Sonny lose or see Sonny win or whatever you think of him, talent-wise, Sonny's probably the most talented fighter in the UK. One of the most talented fighters in the world. I know people don't really like to say that, but it's a fact, isn't it? He's unbelievable. So he deserves his super fight, and this year, confident he will get it.
To be fair, I think he's turned a lot of fans around this year. All the stuff he's got up to outside the ring, so I think his fan base has increased. But you've slipped in there a few times. You mentioned Canelo, so I made a note of it. So you quite specifically said Canelo is coming to the UK. So what have you heard, Sam?
One sec. So the doorbell go off. Carry on.
You specifically said Canelo is coming to the UK, so I get the feeling you've heard something somewhere. So
I've heard the same. I've heard he's fighting John Ryder next, whether it's at the Emirates or whether it's at the O2 or whatever it is. There is no other fight to make on that undercard than Sonny against Martinez. It makes sense. There's no. We can do no. Martinez is a proud Mexican warrior. Let's go, vamos. Let's go. Let's make the fight.
Interesting. So you've heard Canelo Ryder at Highbury. Is it Highbury?
The Emirates or O2 or whatever it is. It's going to be great having Canelo over here, by the way. It's going to be unbelievable. And John Ryder deserves his opportunity. So whatever people say about that, John Ryder is long overdue a huge fight. So good luck to John Ryder. He's a great guy and he deserves his big opportunity.
I look forward to it. Online rumours, just the last one on Probellum for early part of next year. It looks like Lewis Ritson versus O'Hara Davis, even though it's not been officially announced. Can we expect a date anytime soon or announcement on it?
Yeah, listen, we're trying to get that fight all sorted. That's the fight we want to do next. So hopefully hopefully a big announcement very soon on that.
A couple of other subjects, Sam. Eddie Hearn said a few weeks ago that he found out that Fury Chisora did less than 300,000 buys. I spoke to Dev Sani from Frank Warren's team, and he said it's impossible for Eddie Hearn to know that. So obviously you're involved in the boxing circles. Would it be possible for Eddie to find something like that out, even though he's like on the zone?
Who knows, mate? Who knows? But I don't like speculating about numbers or how many like buys something did. If that's what it did do, then that's what it did. Do you know what I mean? Like it was a huge crowd.
Is it possible for stuff like that to get leaked, though? That's the question.
I think yeah, it's possible for stuff like that to get leaked. That it always is, but like at the same time, is that I think I don't know. There's a lot of people speculate rather than know the facts in boxing. But listen, if that's what Eddie's heard, that's what Eddie's been told, then who knows? That might be the case. But I would wait to hear it from the official source before people jump to conclusions.
And you will have heard the fallout between Lawrence Okolie and Eddie Hearn. You know, we've seen both sides of the argument now. Where do you stand with it all?
I know. Listen, it's a strange one for me because I talk to Lawrence all the time. I get on very well with Lawrence, and like you can kind of see his points, but you can also see Eddie's point. Eddie's done a really good job for Lawrence Okolie. Really good job. No one can deny that. Lawrence is. No one's seen the best of Lawrence Okolie yet. I remember watching Lawrence spar Joe Joyce years ago at the AMA and saying, wow, Lawrence is going to be so hard to beat. Lawrence has the ability, listen, to stink a place out, yeah, with a style he has. But he's always finds a way to win. But he's also got exciting style. He has, like you saw that in his not the last fight, I think I can't remember the guy he beat before, but devastating power. Like Lawrence can be really exciting. He's just one of them. He's just one of them type of fighters. But I do think there's so much more to come from him. I think Lawrence Okolie is the best cruiserweight in the world, and I think he'll go on to be one of the best heavyweights in the world as well.
Obviously, I interviewed Lawrence. I think it was the day after Eddie did the podcast with you on your YouTube thing that you do. What's it called again? I'll give it
Ball and Brawl.
That's it. So obviously on that, and I think there was something that I quoted that Eddie said to you in that, but I can't think of what it was now, because I think you asked Eddie the specific reason and he kind of explained it. So you would have obviously seen Lawrence's reply the next day. What did you make of that?
What do you mean? Like that?
I think you asked Eddie specifically about the reasons behind it, and I can't, for the sake of me, remember what he actually said.
I don't know. Listen, right, with that situation, you can see Eddie's point of view, like why he's thinking it. And when people say, "Oh, you've wasted so much money on, why would you continue wanting to waste money on it?" It's not that. Lawrence Okolie is moving up to heavyweight soon. Yeah, it's like that's just a fact. What's going to happen? It's the natural thing to happen. When you move into heavyweight division, you start having heavyweight fights with Dillian White, Joe Joyce. There's some great heavyweight fights for Lawrence Okolie to be made. The Riakporhe fight is there in for the cruiserweights, but that's when the money starts coming in. So people go and say, "Oh, why would you want to continue to waste money?" And because Eddie's probably done that because it's an investment. Signing a fighter is an investment. So Lawrence Okolie, okay, he's had a few stinkers, but he's also had some really good fights. But now, when he's at the peak of his powers, he's going to start making some real serious money because he's going to move into the glamour division. So that's why Eddie will be wanting to kind of dig his heels in. But at the same time, is that he's had an offer from Ben Shalom, and Eddie don't want to compete with that offer not because he can't afford it, because he just probably doesn't see the value in it. Then Lawrence Okolie's inevitably going to move on, and hopefully they can all look back one day and have a beer together and think, wow, they had a good run together, which they did. Eddie's done a great job for Lawrence, and Lawrence has delivered. So it's a handshake and move on, hopefully, because definitely. It's sad in boxing because a lot of the time the relationships do end sour and stuff. So it is what it is. That's just part of boxing.
That is a key part. I think it's worth noting that whatever side you're on or whatever argument you believe, Eddie Hearn has done an awesome job because he's got.
You can't. No one can deny that, mate. No one can deny that. He's stuck by Lawrence when, as I say, he's had a few hard watches. You know what I mean? Like the Matty Askin fight, the Isaac Chamberlain fight at the O2, which Eddie put on for Lawrence. You know what I mean? They both got paid very well. They headlined the O2 Arena probably a bit before time, but they did. And you've got to remember that. And Eddie probably feels a little bit let down by I don't know. It is what it is, mate. As I say, I get on with Eddie. I get on very well with Lawrence Okolie. I hope they can both kind of have a handshake eventually and kind of remember the good points rather than the kind of sourish ending that it's having. So it is what it is, mate. That's boxing. Got to move on.
Moving on to the next subject I want to speak to you about is Conor Benn, I think about a week or two ago, released a statement, and it was quite a long statement, but the short part of it was that my team have proven my innocence. Obviously, I've spoken to a few people about it since. We've got different views. Most recently, I spoke to Spencer Oliver, and he basically said if your innocent has been proven, then release a statement. Obviously, I'm aware it's not as simple as that. So
it ain't as simple as that, mate. It ain't as simple as that. Not when there's so many lawyers involved and like it's not. I'm sure Conor Benn wants to. Well, I know he wants to. He wants to kind of release a statement to say what's happened and like we've proven his innocence. And like, listen, it's a hard one for me because I've been very vocal on it, but I've only been vocal on it because people have asked me the questions and I can only tell the truth. It's what I said to Conor. It looks like from all the
this whole
the facts are,
did you
yeah,
say
the facts are. Say the facts are he's failed 2 drug tests. That is the bottom line. Yeah, he's failed 2 drug tests. It looks as though he's cheated. He's took performance enhancing drugs or mass drugs, whatever they're called. But like what I've always said, yeah, I've always wanted Conor Benn to be innocent. Look back on all the interviews, I want him to be innocent. And if he's proven his innocence, yeah, and because in boxing, you're guilty till proven innocent. That's just the way it's always going to be. And I've always said, like with like Eddie could have just easily have said, do you know what? Forget Conor Benn. He's done this. We don't want any part of it. But they've stuck by him. They stuck by him because they believe him. Tony Sims believes him. I've always said Tony Sims is a good guy, and you believe in him. But like the Conor Benn situation, it's very hard to kind of believe him. But Conor has said, yeah, with confidence that his team's proven his innocence. If his team have proved his innocence, we all owe him an apology. That's just like, but like we do. We all owe him an apology, and like I've got no problem with apologizing with my opinions. But I only base my opinions really on facts, and that's what I did. And if I've got it wrong, I hold my hands up and I apologize. And I hope. Listen, let's hope he has proved his innocence because he's a great addition to British boxing. He can be involved in some massive fights. So let's see how it all unfolds.
You know, when you started talking there, I picked up. He said I spoke to Conor. He said I told Conor. Have you spoken to Conor Benn recently?
Yeah, I've spoke to him a couple of times. Yeah, briefly.
Just out of curiosity, how did them conversations go? Because obviously, when we spoke earlier on, I wouldn't say you was.
Listen, Conor's upset. Connor's upset with how people have like kind of come from. Because I think he thinks that people want to find him, want him to be guilty, want him to be guilty in this. Do you know what I mean? Like, mate, I've been vocal about it, but I'm never like. It's like if you're wrong about something, you always have to be man enough to say I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? You have to be. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you've got to be a man enough to apologize. I want Conor Benn to be innocent. I'm just saying, like I've just said what people have asked me. It looks as though it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great, but he's 40. He's appealed it. He's done all this stuff, and his team, according to Conor Benn, have proven his innocence. And let's hope that's the damn truth, because if it is, then we've got a wonderful addition coming back to boxing. Hopefully, he can resume his career and pick up where he left off, because there's some massive nights out there for him. Because listen, you've got to imagine it's going to have been a hard time for his family. Forget Conor to one side. Talk about his missus, his baby, like his dad, who's obviously left an unbelievable legacy in British boxing. He's a hero, one a hero of mine, Nigel Benn. So you've just got to hope. Let's hope what he's saying is the truth. There's evidence to prove it. Let's all get on with it. And then let's all say Conor, we was wrong. Apologies, young man. Let's crack on with your career now. Let's go.
And obviously, when you spoke about him, obviously, I don't use the word outspoken, but you kind of you stuck to the facts. And obviously, now that you've spoken to him on the phone, was the conversation like pretty amicable and probably respected?
By message. It wasn't over the phone. It wasn't over the phone. No, mate, it's amicable. But like Conor really like he said, "Oh, you've been," and I went, "Yeah," because I've said that if somebody asks me a question, I can only tell the truth, mate. Like I know people might want to mix them up, but if somebody asks me my opinion, I will give you my opinion with no bias. That's just the way it is.
It's worth noting that, you know, as a content creator around boxing, we've got to ask about whatever's trending, and it is trending, and we've got to speak about it. So respect to him for even speaking to you, obviously, because most people would assume, right, that says cut all these people off who have spoken about him, being outspoken, etc. But the fact that he's still communicating with you probably says a lot about him as well. So, which is a good thing. So, we'll move on to the next subject, Sam, if that's all right with you, mate.
Sure.
Anthony Joshua, it's a foreign subject. Anthony Joshua has just confirmed, well, he's not confirmed, but it's pretty obvious that he's parted ways with Robert Garcia because Robert Garcia did an interview the other day.
That's like the biggest that I think everybody knows that, like the way they've both been kind of, well, the way Garcia was been speaking and stuff. I just think
I spoke to
I
Adi
don't
on the depot, and he suggested there were arguments behind the scenes. He didn't go into it too much, but when somebody says something like that, do you reckon that on paper the front is to keep it amicable, and maybe it didn't work out?
mate, what it is, right? What it is this, right? If you're Robert Garcia, yeah, you're bringing in Robert Garcia to train you. Let him train you. Let him train you in his environment without, I mean, I know, listen, Angel Fernandez, yeah, is doing a great job. He trains Richard Riakporhe. Richard Riakporhe's looked fantastic in his last few fights. He's doing a good job with Fraser Clark. But if you're bringing in Robert Garcia, you can't have somebody else. It's either one or the other, mate. You understand what I mean? Because trainers have egos, like we all do, but trainers have egos.
On that point, Sam, so you can pick this up from the head as well. I spoke to Fraser Clark in Bournemouth the other day, and he quite specifically said, like, was Robert even the trainer? It was Angel that did all the improvements, and Robert.
There's the problem, bro. There's the problem. I love Fraser, but there's the problem. If you're bringing in Robert Garcia, a multi-time winning, world championship winning coach, let him coach you. That's the problem. Okay, if he's not done the camp, that explains a lot, because the improvements were there to be seen, but they were minimal improvements. Let Robert Garcia coach you in his own gym in wherever it is, LA, I think it is.
Riverside.
Riverside. Let him coach you. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't go to a gym. Like, I've been fortunate enough, like I've been Ismail Salas, like, who I think is the best coach in the world, by the way. Ismail Salas ain't going to tolerate being second fiddle to somebody. Freddie Roach, he's not going to do that, or none of these other trainers that he's going around LA to train. He needs to find a coach. I've told KD for many.
But why were they saying that everything's great? Because I spoke to him in Fight Week in Saudi.
I don't listen, man, because that's what a lot of people do. It's a lot of smoke. But I'm saying to you, that shows it. Like with Fraser saying that says it all, because there was not really that many changes made. The same thing happened. Usyk pinged him for most of the fight. He did better. Do you know what I mean? Like AJ did better and had a lot more success. So he did do something, but there weren't any drastic improvements. AJ, yeah, this is what I've noted about AJ, yeah, and people might think I'm wrong, whatever, but it's all psychological with him. It's all, you can see it, the way he thinks. Like he's an overthinker, AJ is. You can see that. He just needs to fuck off somewhere, to a gym where he's probably not that comfortable, and do you know what I mean? Like, not have it all about him, if that makes sense. Not have this massive entourage. Just go there, like, and when it's your turn to spar, it's not your turn all the time because you're the star. Like the one thing I saw, right, Joe, when Golovkin trained in Big Bear, and like you say, I name drop him, but it's a true, yeah. It was most best experiences of my life, yeah, being around Golovkin, Linares as well, by the way. But Golovkin was one of the boys. He never used to do things on his own with his own team. He used to run with the pack. Do you know what I mean? He was the leader of the pack. That's because he was always the fastest and the strongest. But he was always like, he'd always put his arm around Joe. He'd always watch Joe spar because he wanted to be around it. And he was always like, he would wait his turn for something. He was never entitled, Golovkin, in that gym. He was never like, oh, I should be doing this first, or I should get the best bench to do my sit-ups on. By the way, there was about 4 benches on there, and he would just go to whichever one. He was never entitled. And I'm not saying Joshua was one of them spoiled kind of kids, because he isn't. He isn't. But I just think he needs to go to a gym where it's not just all about him. Do you know what I mean? And take it back a few things and learn. I mean, I know I don't want him to go to Joe's coach, but like someone like Salas, go and train in Big Bear. Do you know what I mean? Like go and do something different, and go to, like, Big Bear. No one will give a shit about Anthony Joshua. He could walk around freely. Because I know Anthony Joshua cannot do anything in this country without people following him or taking photos or asking for selfies. He needs to go to Big Bear and train there where it's secluded and no one's there, no one cares about him. And then I honestly think he would just be so much better. But there's a lot of good coaches out there. He just needs to pick one who he's comfortable with, but not a yes man, and not bring his team of coaches or his team of things. Go to a trainer, let him have the trainer have their own coaching setup, like what all trainers do. Like everyone will have their own assistant who they trust. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got just in every gym, like they have their own assistants. Not bring your assistant. Like literally no disrespect to his previous trainers or trainer, but like that's what he needs to do, mate. That's my opinion, mate. I'm just giving you my opinion because you've asked me. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm saying if I was looking after Anthony Joshua, which I've told KD this, I would fuck right off to Big Bear or somewhere like that where no one knows you, no one cares. Where even if they do know you, they don't care. Everyone just gets on with their own business.
But
And
when you say that to KD, what response are you getting back?
he wants listen. I say everything what we spoke about, but like he agrees. Nobody does. He agrees, and like it's hard not to agree because I just kind of think it's not because I'm a genius. I'm saying this, mate, because I'm far from a genius. But I just think it's fucking obvious that's what you should be doing with somebody like that. He shouldn't be training in Loughborough, chasing kids around in a dorm because they took the piss out of him or something. Do you know what I mean? He shouldn't. He shouldn't be living in uni student accommodation. He should be going in the wilderness somewhere, like what we did with Joe Joyce. And like as I say, we bounced Joe, and Joe's had 3 coaches. He had Adam Booth, Abel Sanchez, and Ismail Salas. But that's done in the world of good because he's gathered a lot of experience. But like the Big Bear experience was unbelievable. It's very boring, by the way, but it was a very, very great experience because it was just like all you can do there is eat, sleep, train, play PlayStation in your downtime. That's it. You can't do anything else there. And I think that's what Joshua needs.
Good stuff. Well, Sam, I think we've covered everything. Unless you think we missed anything, we're done.
No, mate. All good, mate. It's been a weird kind of year. It's been a good year in some ways, bad year in some other ways. Like I don't know, but like I'm really looking forward to 2023. I think boxing's had not the best year, if I'm honest, let alone just me. But I think boxing needs to have a better year next year, and hopefully all the big fights can make, all the promoters can work together, stop the bullshit, and let's make the biggest and best fights in boxing, which is the reason why we're all involved in the sport.
Definitely, Sam. Well, you have a good Christmas, mate, and a happy New Year, and hopefully yourself a t-shirt that boxing fans from the olden days can recognise.
No, mate, this is the one, mate. Feeling Usyk. Nice to speak to you, mate. I'll catch you soon.